All right, hey everybody, and welcome to the 90-minute art challenge. Today's guest is one of the newest Schoolism instructors, the one and only Pablo Carpio. And
Hello, hello.
yes, sorry, I did such a horrible intro, but Pablo Carpio, everybody. And my co-host, Masei Seki. Welcome, Masei. Welcome, Pablo.
Hey.
Hello. How's everything going?
Excellent, excellent. Now that you're here, exciting day, new class on Schoolism. And
Yeah.
actually, I would love to play that trailer for your course so people can also kind of get a sense of the kind of art that you do because it is absolutely mind-blowing. All right, so here we
Awesome.
go.
Hello everyone, my name is Pablo Carpio and I'm here to present you my Keyframe workout. Even if you have never touched Photoshop before, but you would like to get started in the creation of dynamic illustrations, or you just simply want to improve your skills composing images, and you don't have the time to dedicate to long and dense tutorials or prefer to get the information in a compressed and synthesized way, in these videos, you will find from very quick ability games to warm up, to small tricks and hacks to improve your artwork in a fast way, as well as the basics about using photos in your work to get that realistic look that most of the film and video game industry companies demands to speed up your painting process. We will talk about shape, light and color, and we will dissectionate these elements to see how to get the very best of them separately and together. To end, I will show you my full process to create a final keyframe using only the tools that I show you during the rest of the videos. This is a basic workout suitable for absolutely everyone. The videos will start with a very basic level and you will be able to improve your skills at the same time that the difficulty of the concept grows. You only need Photoshop and 15 minutes to an hour a day to get this done. And with every video, you will get a Photoshop file with all the elements needed to follow the workout and create your own pieces, as well as some of my personal references. 30 days, 15 minutes, no excuses. I know you can do it, you know that you can do it, and this is just about making that first step to improve your work. So join me and let's do some cool artwork together.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
Congrats, Pablo.
Thank you so much, guys. It was super fun to record all of the workout series and everything. At some point, it's great because it helped me also. It was a challenge for me to keep up. Like doing a bit every day. And recording it and refreshing some knowledge myself. Because most of the stuff it starts from a very basic level. Like pretty much absolutely everyone can just grab the course and take a look at it without having any knowledge. Just to start. And going back to those roots helped me also. To think about twice of certain things that I thought I had already, very well known somehow, but it helped me to really start again from the beginning, and yeah, as I said, just refresh all of those knowledge, all of that knowledge, and try again, as we were speaking before, like to me, doing like complete like 2D art is something that stays back in time. And going back to that, in some of the tutorials, like some of the days I do some 2D painting, and I was like suffering myself, doing it like, oh, is this gonna be, is this gonna look good? So, but yeah, it was really fun because of that. It helped me to go a bit like out of my comfort zone, and work out, somehow, like try it myself and yeah, put some effort on it, like some good effort on it.
Well, that's what the 90-minute workout is all about as well, getting out of your comfort zone. Today's subject is something that I'm very not comfortable with, an environment. Usually I'm all about smaller kind of focus on the environment and mostly on some character.
Yeah, I picked this image thinking that it was gonna be easy for me. But it's not at all.
Well, because you didn't have your normal set of tools, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I mean, in the end, working with Magma was a challenge. Working on Magma is cool because apart from giving you the opportunity to work with other people at the same time and everything, it was interesting to that's the thing, to deal with the program and see which can it offer to you, and how can you put that by your side, and try the best with it, so that's why I started like playing a lot with layers and different types of layers and everything, because that's the closest that it gets to my, like, the tools that I use every day. So yeah, I try to do a lot of like duplicating layers and just putting them, overlapping them and stuff like that. I don't know.
It must have felt
So
like
yeah.
going back to school with this assignment, right? A little
Oh
bit.
yeah. Like all of these kind of studies, like studies like this is something that I should do more often. It's super interesting, and you learn a lot. And doing it with more people at the same time also, I think it's really interesting, because you can analyze the photograph together. You can give different tips. You can at the same time see the approach from the other people. Like look at it right now. Like I started with a more like warm base, and now I'm just like start working on the lighting, while Bobby's like starting with a fully different color palette, just to get like just to get the base settled down, and Masai is doing a line work directly. So you can get a tiny bit of everything, in that way, and think what will be like the best way for you, or how can I mix all of this together, to get something, pretty cool. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, somebody in YouTube was asking, what program is this? This is called Magma Studio. This is the Magma Studio app. If you go to magmastudio.io, if you look at the pink letters there on the bottom left-hand corner, you can find the site. And this is a web-based application. You want to use Google Chrome for it. It's absolutely free to use. And then we also have a pro version that gets you all sorts of awesome features as well. Now, we also want to explain what is the 90-minute art challenge. So why don't we do that right now? The 90-minute art challenge is, if you go to tumblr.com and you search for it, 90-minute art challenge, then there you'll find our Tumblr page, and there you'll see all the various 90-minute art challenges every week. And then you can look up the stream that goes with each of these challenges as well through the YouTube channel that you're watching right now. And this is my YouTube channel, so subscribe now before you forget. And I am going to really enjoy this. Pablo Carpio, go ahead and follow him right now. Carpio MVR. Oh my goodness. I will just do a little embarrassing little plug for you, Pablo, because your stuff is beyond insane.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is pretty much like all the personal stuff that I do. There is some client work also.
Like, how do you manage, like, each one of these looks like it takes you, 3 weeks. For personal art, how do you...
I tend to stick to the, to the time that I normally use for my client work too. Just because that also helps me, stay somehow, in shape, let's say it that way, because if I will be spending too much time on my personal stuff, then as soon as I get some client work, I will tend to spend the same time, and with client work, I need to be like way faster. So normally I try to spend no more than 2 days per image. So probably it will be, no more than 16 hours, let's say, which will be like spending a day, figuring out the 3D, and everything, and the reference gathering, and then another day for the render and the overpainting. So yeah, doesn't, like, let's say a tiny bit more. Let's say like 3 days, 2.5 days, something like that. But yeah,
incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
And most of this stuff is pretty much like 3D and photo bashing and just painting a tiny bit over. But yeah, there's some old work, I haven't posted too many personal work in the last year, in 2020. So most of this stuff is just things that I've been taking back, from my folders. But yeah, some are older, some are newer. I'm trying to get back to it, and do some more personal work this year. So yeah, let's see if I can find some free time.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, these are great. And it's so nice because That must mean if you only take 2 days, that must mean you come up with like more stuff, and then you can also like move on from that
Yeah,
previous one. It's so easy to get caught up on just like one painting.
yeah, that's true. Like sometimes I just try to get that, that idea out of my head, and if at some point I get stuck on a painting or something, I just try to finish it as I can, and then just move on to something else. I don't like, I never start a new painting without finishing the previous one. I pretty much never see myself getting flood on my own work, my own personal work, which sometimes happens, that you start a painting and you're like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do this other thing too, or I'm gonna do this other thing too. So I always try
Yeah.
to finish one and then start another one, and that's why I tend to be kind of quick when I do them. The problem now is that I almost don't have any spare time, or if I do, I normally use it in other things, because I am pretty like you know I mean, I used to spend a lot of time already painting for clients and everything. So when I have free time, I normally just like go out or do some exercise or whatever. But when I have free time and I can spend some time on my personal work, sometimes it's just like a couple of hours here and a couple of hours there. So it normally takes me like weeks to finish something, even if I don't spend too much time on it. Yeah.
I see.
That's still fantastic.
Yeah.
For some people, it doesn't matter if it took them 10 years to do one of your paintings. They'd be so happy. Let's take a look at some of these entries for the 90-minute art challenge. This is what you do, okay? When you're done your 90-minute art challenge, you could upload it to Instagram, hashtag 90-minute art challenge, and there everybody can see everybody else's. And every one of these streams, we also do highlight a few of these pieces that came in for the 90-minute art challenge. Starting off with this one. Love the simplification here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then Demon Dog. Love this one by CJ.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's very cool. This one, another one. You don't have to just stick to 90 minutes. We stick to 90 minutes, but you don't necessarily have to. You could go on longer or shorter. This one was fantastic. I think this one took
these
over
are
90
awesome.
minutes, though. Right? That
Yeah, I
one's
cannot
quite-
do this in 90 minutes.
Yeah. This one feels more like could be 90 minutes. But hey, either way, it's wonderful.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
And there you go. That's this week's
Nice.
entries.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing people's entries every week.
And we also have on here the Discord group. Hey, Discord people. You could join us on Discord by going to bit.ly/LBX Discord, and then you should be able to find us there. Also, if you don't like Discord or you don't know what it is, or something like that, you want to ask questions, you could go to slido.com, hashtag 90Mac, and ask us questions there. For Pablo's course, by the way, it's a brand new stinking course that just came out maybe 45 minutes ago. So that is on schoolism.com. And if you subscribe to schoolism.com, if you subscribe to Pablo's course, you actually get access to everything, all the courses on schoolism.com. Except for Thomas Fluharty's newest course, 901 Indigo Blue. That's coming out a little later, but it will also be joining the subscription. Anyhow,
Too many good courses.
I know. But I'm very excited to do Pablo's course because, number one, Pablo, you did a really good job of making things look epic but still doable.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like, say, when you're watching, you remember you're seeing this big NASA space kind of thing in space, and it's a photo, and he starts erasing it, right? And then you see the black and white kind of version with this floating astronaut, and you're like, oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and those were actually a couple of photos that I took. Like the photos that I'm using on the course are some that I took myself with my phone. So it's not like it's not that I'm even using like a professional camera or anything. I just went. That was when I was in Miami and I visited the Kennedy Space Center, and I took a couple of photos there of the rockets and everything. And then that's the thing. I just take the photos. I just cut them, bash them together, change the lighting, and that's it. So I just try to explain a tiny bit that, like how to do that in a few steps, in like 15 to 40 minutes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there is no weird tricks, like I sometimes have this kind of like imposter syndrome, when I was doing it, feeling like, what, like this is actually simple. It's like something that everyone can do. You just need to have that perspective somehow, that click that say, so that's why I start like there are also a couple of days on the workout where I only do some how do you say it, just working with a couple of like geometric shapes and stuff like that, and then I starting with black and white images, then adding color, and little by little just making it a tiny bit more difficult.
It felt like a game. Was it part of your intentions to kind of gamify it?
Yeah, it was. It's a bit of a kind of like skill game, right? Like, let's see what you are able to do with a box and a circle, and then from that, depending on your perspective on how much you put, like before you put on that, you can do better or worse, and then you can even challenge yourself and try again, and do it like a tiny bit more difficult. And instead of like 15 minutes, to spend 25 or spend 2 hours and see, okay, let's see how far can I take this, and then just jump into the next day, and let's see what you are able to do with one image in black and white, or what are you able to do with a few images in color, or just one image but then paint over it, or or just one image but just deforming it, or whatever. So yeah, and then from that just start just escalating until I do like a full final piece, taking all that knowledge together. Yeah,
I love the progression. Exactly what you're saying. You start off, they're just shapes, right? The very first one, they're just abstract shapes, and then you use them, you scale them and change them to build a little scene as you're building your own scene. And yeah, love it. Anyways, and
yeah,
something that I always had trouble with, Masay, I don't know if you, like, I know Pablo does this all the time because it's his course, but using photos. I don't usually use photos in any of my stuff, not because I don't want to, but because it just never fit right when I did it. So I'm very interested to see how you are able to kind of blend the painting with the photo aspects of things.
Yeah, I guess it has to do a lot with with the style also in the end. Like for you guys, like you guys do cartoon, and to me it's like completely impossible to get something, as cool as you do, guys. Like if you tell me, like, could you like synthesize this photograph into a 2D animation style kind of like, cartoon piece, for me will be impossible. Like I can't, like I really suffered to do like the this painting in 2D that we're doing in Magma. Like to me, that's already like this is like the trickiest thing you can ask me to do, and I don't know, like for me it's easy because in the end it works like pretty close to a made painting. I don't have to change that much the photographs to make them fit on my image, but for you guys I think it will be interesting to sometimes maybe add some texturing, maybe for just surfaces, like maybe wood or maybe stone or things like that. It could be sometimes interesting. I don't know.
No,
Something.
for sure.
I guess it's just about trying. And same for me, I sometimes try to paint a tiny bit more than I use photographs, even if in the end most of my work is like 3D and photographs. But yeah, I think it's just about, trying different stuff.
Well, just like this exercise, it doesn't really matter how you get there. There's many different ways to do the same kind of objective.
Yeah, definitely. That's also one thing that why I use a lot, photographs and stuff like that, is because in the end, clients what clients wants to see if you are able to deliver an idea that looks photographic to them, that could look like a frame of a movie, in a second, So that's the thing. That's why we try to work in with this kind of pipeline, Concept artists are working in VFX movies and games like this. We always tend to do that, just use as many tricks and tools as we can to make things faster. So we lose a bit of that craftsmanship somehow, of that, like, of the quality of the 2D like traditional painting, but everything is just in favor of spending less time, and be able to deliver things faster.
No, but let me kind of poke on a little point that you just made there. Having things look photoreal for the client. Yes, that's important, but also the way that I do it and the way that you look like you do it is that you still leave in there elements of like the art, the brush strokes, right? The texture where it's that doesn't look photoreal. Because when people see photoreal, there's one reaction, but if they see a painting that looks photoreal and they look at it and it's like, that's a painting that looks photoreal, they're looking at art. And a lot of times they connect even more because of that. Am I right? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, I can see, where you're going with that. I could agree. Yeah, definitely.
I think in like production, it becomes a lot more like photoreal.
That's what I always try to fight for. Like, this is actually my very first tutorial in this way that I put online. And that's the thing. One thing that I always thought about if I ever do a tutorial or something, is that I wanted to show, rather than programs or techniques like, press this button, go to this layer, or blah blah blah. It's more the theoretical part of why a composition works better in this way or that way. Same with color, same with lighting, and that's universal for every type of, like, for every style. It doesn't matter if you do 2D, it doesn't matter if you do 3D or matte painting or like pure photo basing. In the end, if you don't know how to compose an image, if you don't know how to treat light and how to treat color, it doesn't matter if you use Blender, Cinema 4D, ZBrush, Octane, Redshift, whatever it is, it's still gonna look bad, if you don't have those, that base somehow, those fundamentals. So that's why, it can look simple from a point of view, like just working with geometric shapes, for example. But in the end, if you really like synthesize everything, and you go to that abstract point, you will see that the most important part there is not if that's just geometric shapes or a photograph or a 2D painting. The important, what you are learning there is how do you position them on the image to make them look appealing, to make them look attractive to the eye. And that's the end, like the essence, let's say, of the workout series.
That's fantastic. We have a bunch of questions coming in from Slido, and then I'd love to kind of open it up for discussions with the Discord community. This first one is from Anan, asks 2 questions. Can you share your experience working for Pixar, and what's the difference between working there and ILM or Marvel?
Yeah, well, I mean, working for Pixar was amazing. That's something I will never, I never hide it. Like, for me, was like one of the biggest surprises ever. I still remember when I got the mail from the production designer telling me, like, hey, do you want to work on this? And I was like, wait, what? And the project looked super cool. Everything was great. I was working as a freelancer, so I never got in contact with the studio, or I was not going to the studio house. I had the chance to visit it, and it's lovely inside. I would love to go back. Like, if anyone from Pixar is hearing me, please, like I will be interested in working there one day. I will be happy moving to San Francisco. No, but yeah, I mean, the place looks amazing, but the project that was like really great. And sadly it got canceled, or at least I don't know if it ever happened, but I never knew anything new from it. And from like until now, nothing has happened. So, and that was already like 3 years ago or so. That was 2017, 2018, more or less. I think it was Christmas around that time. And yeah, the project was great, and it didn't change too much from the way I used to work, because in the end, it was kind of like, I was still able to work on 3D and photo batching for the project. I mean, if you look at Pixar movie nowadays, it's still like pretty realistic, even if the shapes are like super stylized and everything. In the end, the texturing, the lighting, and everything, it's kind of similar to what you can find on my work, So I was comfortable working on that. So honestly, not too many changes with working for ILM or working with Marvel. The pipeline was pretty similar, at least the one that I was using, because I was working directly with the production designer there. So what I was sending to him, he was happy with it. So it was pretty flexible. It was great in that way. And yeah, the only difference is that ILM, I worked for them in-house. So I moved to London, and I was going to the studio there with the rest of the artists every day. So yeah, if I could tell a difference, I would say that for Pixar, the project was super amazing, and the production designer treated me super well, and everything was super nice. With ILM, I was going there in-house, so I had to stick more to the pipeline there and everything, but same kind of thing. The environment was amazing. I had the chance to be in contact with the rest of the artists every day and receive feedback from them. So that's super awesome. And yeah, so yeah, I would say that I enjoyed in different ways both things. And Marvel is kind of the same. Yeah.
If you can
It's really
only
cool.
save one studio, Marvel, Pixar, or ILM, which studio would you save?
I cannot say that. Still
I
want
was
to
just
get
joking.
still
I'm
want to
just
get
testing
hired
you.
by them.
maybe off camera.
I'm just
No, I don't know.
testing.
I don't know. I really enjoy. I could say different nice things about each one of them. Like Pixar was the best surprise ever for me, because it was like my childhood dream. ILM was for me like the top I could ever reach on my career. At that stage, for me, was like the last objective ever. So when I made it, it was like, I could release that, from myself, be like, yeah, I made it finally. I'm here, and I'm able to work for these, projects. And Marvel was the first time that I had the chance to design like spaceships for a movie that in the end ended on the movie, and I was able to go to the film set, see my own, stuff being built, and the actors and everyone just working there, inside of my own paintings.
That was
And
Captain Marvel's ship?
yeah, that was Captain Marvel. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So that was also like an experience I've never, that never happened to me before. So yeah, that was also amazing. So yeah, only nice things about each one of them.
You also worked on The Mandalorian, right?
No, I didn't have the chance. I was in
okay.
ILM while it was happening. I was getting, you try to go through the screens without getting any spoiler, But
What was the Star Wars one that you worked on?
I had a chance to work a tiny bit on episode 9, but just like a few days. In the end, it's something that happens here and there, like, hey, like tomorrow there is something to be done, we need some help here. I was on other projects at the same time, but sometimes you need to, take a hand on it and just spend like a few days working on it, and that was great. I was just helping with a couple of like shots, like figuring out VFX, and lighting and everything. But at least I had the chance to paint the Millennium Falcon once, and that's great. That's always, I can't take that out of the list.
That's a bucket
So,
list. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, that was great.
It would have been fun to like take your. I'm just looking at your suit back there, the stormtrooper. Try to get on set. You probably have a few of the pass cards and stuff that you would need to maybe get as close as you can.
I just wear it twice, but yeah, you can actually wear it.
Oh, you can actually wear it. I was
Oh,
very curious.
yeah. And it's like universal size, so it doesn't matter if you're taller, or it fits.
So funny.
It fits for everyone. Yeah.
And I was mentioning that we also have the wonderful, amazing Lightbox Expo Discord community here, and they're all sketching this really tough challenge here. You can see all the different versions going and stuff.
Damn, like 9 persons at the same time?
Yeah. Well, you could
That's
have up
crazy.
to 30, right? So
Holy shit.
the fun part is you can paint with everybody, and you're not just doing it by yourself, just like what we're doing. But I would love to kind of bring in the Lightbox Expo Discord community into the conversation now as well.
I have a
Anybody
question.
have any questions for Pablo or any of us?
Yeah, Iris has a question.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been waiting because I really love Carpio's work. Sorry, Pablo. But
Oh, everyone calls me Carpio. Like, like all my friends call me Carpio, so that's fine.
Okay, so I had a question about your piece Rooftops. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yes.
By the way, the thing I love about this piece is like there's so much adventure and kind of romanticism, and like it's like a crazy adventure, and I find that a lot of your pieces have this spirit to them, and it's really cool. Do you have any kind of anything to say about like the inspiration that leads you to these kind of compositions and aspirational images, or about this image in particular, or any other?
Like sometimes it just comes from the own reference images that I find. Like, I had this idea of doing like a vast kind of like Arabic city, and then just start like building closer to the camera until I get, so I could do like lower camera angle, that could look down and you could see like all the city spreading around. So yeah, I don't know, sometimes I don't know how to say it, but I just started like going with the flow and thinking like, you know what, I want this image just to look like busy, somehow. And I other of the things that I was like really interested about this image is when I was doing this is trying to use as less colors as possible and just play with the lighting. What I mean is that if you look at it, like most of the buildings have the same material. They're all like this kind of like sandstone kind of texture on them, and it's just the light on it bouncing what brings those like red tones and purples and oranges, and all that stuff at the same time. But if we will change the daytime or the light direction or anything, or we would just put like an overcast kind of like sky, then it will change completely. It will be like completely flat somehow. So yeah, what I was trying to do here is like how to play with shadows and how to play with the changes from purples to oranges to yellows, and in the end, you can cut this image in two and see that pretty much like the foreground and midground is 3D and photo bashing, and then the background is just like one image. It's just like a pure one image. Just like I can't remember anymore because this was like already like 5 years ago or something. Oh my god, this is so old. This is like from 2016 or something like that. But yeah, I remember just like putting some images on the background and just filling the rest of the image pretty easy. So that only took like 20 minutes or so. In the end, where I spent more time was just on the foreground and midground.
Sorry, I was throwing up. What'd you just say? 20 minutes?
For the background, yes, it's just a couple of photos.
Okay.
It's not like it's not like I was painting every single house, there. But yeah, that's the thing. In the end, it's just about picking well your references and everything, and that's pretty much it. I've always been very interested about Arabic architecture, and stuff like that. And I don't know, I wanted to try something in that way, but yeah, not too much to say honestly about it. Not trying to be humble or anything, but I'm just saying that really for me, it was just like an image that I wanted to get out of my head. I just wanted to do like that kind of shot. So sometimes more than in the story or in the or anything like that, I feel like, what, I feel like doing a couple of towers and I want to try this kind of camera angle. So I'm thinking more about the keyframe itself, and it could work in the same way with any other thing. It could be like a sci-fi building, or it could be, so for me, it was more about the camera angle and the lighting and the color treatment, rather than the story here or finding the epicness on it. I just wanted to see, like, let's see how much I can make this light bounce, and create this like surface scattering and those purples and all that stuff. So yeah, that was for me the challenge on that one.
A lot of really challenging things. Like you're saying, all the light bouncing around, and then creating some of those really, really saturated oranges, as well as the purples. Like determining which color is going to bounce into which shadow. That was something that you had to do by yourself, right? Like you weren't kind of, or
I was, well, in the end, you are controlling that through the 3D programs that you're using. Like, for example, in this case, I was rendering on Keyshot. So when you're working on that, you're already trying to take control over all of that, all of those things, But of course, in the end, it also has a lot to do with painting over, and faking most of those shadows, because in the end, it's pretty difficult. Like, you will never get those oversaturated colors on a shadow, But that's the interesting part of it, like playing with that and see how far I could take that. So yeah, in that certain piece, that's what I was looking for.
That was an awesome question, Iris. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have a?
Thank you.
Does anybody else want to come in?
Yeah, I have a question. Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to ask about what would you advise for the beginner? Because when I do backgrounds and landscapes and stuff, it's kind of pure mess always. What would you suggest to start with?
To start with backgrounds and environments and things like that, I will always say try to make sure you have all the elements on your image divided by sizes. For example, like make sure that not everything has the same size, or if you have like mountains and at the same time you have a lake and at the same time you have people on it, make sure that each one of those elements have a different weight on the image. Like if the mountains are massive, make sure that the detail on them it's like balanced somehow, and it's not taking all of the mass of the image. While if the characters, for example, are small, make sure that they are way more detailed, so it creates some contrast between super big shapes with less detail and small shapes with more detail. So try to keep some balance in that way. That's a way to make it not look that busy. Like, for example, even if you look at this image, it kind of works in a graphic way, because if you see it like the rooftop of the gas station, like the ceiling, is pretty abstract. It's just like a square with some tiny dots of light. But then if you look actually at the gas, how do you call them in English? I don't know the word in English. Like gas dispensers or I don't know.
Gas pumps.
Yeah, gas pumps, exactly. They have like way more detail on them. You can see that. So that already creates, balance on the image. We have that tiny shape that has a lot of detail inside of it. And then we have the ceiling being just pretty much like a square, So try to find those kind of things, And then you can see the character, for example, on there. It's like the contrast is super big, And in the end, it ends being like one of the focal points of the image, just because it's like super dark compared to the rest of the image. So try always to play with light and color and details in that way. And hopefully in that way you will make it look less, less messier somehow.
Yeah, thank you. And Bobby, could I ask you, you always say that to learn to draw something quickly, you have to first draw it slowly. will it be cheating if I start photo bashing before I actually learn how to draw the backgrounds?
I don't think anything's really cheating. That wouldn't be
Yeah,
the
I
method I
agree.
would go, because like I would avoid those things where you can get a lot by pushing a button, by doing one little feature or whatever, because you will not be able to see all the mistakes that Pablo would see in your art, or I would see in your art, right? Because like you wouldn't know to look for them. And you would know to look for them by investigating, right? And not really doing the photo bashing as much as like investigating the photos. And then after a lot of investigation, then you can start to use them. Like I stopped photo bashing a long time ago because it just looks so it looks so fake. It looked like I was photo bashing. But now I feel like I know enough about fundamentals where I'm very excited about what I could do with adding in a few photos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I think, in the end, if you look at that portfolio, like if you're on a portfolio review and someone reviews your portfolio, checks well, like your own stuff, it's pretty easy to know if that person knows what is he or she doing or not. It's pretty easy to know, like if they grab a couple of like tutorials here and there, and just try to copy them, or if there is actually a thinking process behind, and what they're doing is the result of an understanding of certain like fundamentals before using certain techniques. So yeah, I would.
Everybody, I like kind of this thought, which is everybody that knows will know that you don't know.
Exactly. For me now it's the opposite. Like if I try to draw now, I'm super rusty compared to what I was able to do before. Like I've lost a lot of skills drawing, but just because I don't need it anymore on my on my daily basis, like working with clients and everything. What I'm providing on my work and what they are asking for is just what I do. So I don't need anything else. Bad for me because of course I should spend more time drawing and painting. But in the end, that has remained as a not as a hobby, but as something that I can do for myself, and I don't need it on my work. So now that I arrived to this stage after working for years and studying for years, is when I can like openly say like, yeah, I just photos because that's what is the easiest for me, and I don't care. It just makes it faster and looking the way I want. But if I could draw like Ian McCaig, I will not use any photo. I will just be drawing every day, and that's it. I guess it just depends. If I had the chance to paint like Bobby, I will paint like Bobby every day. So in the end, I think it's just about getting the fundamentals, and once you have that, then find your own path and be like, you know what, I like VFX movies, I like Star Wars, I like Marvel movies. Then you need photopass because it's what they are going to ask you to do. Then you need 3D. But if it's like, oh, you know what, I like DreamWorks movies, I like Leica movies, then maybe you need more 2D, and you need to go more in that way. So it always depends more on what do you want, but yeah, you don't have to ask yourself like, so the next question will be like, everyone that works on VFX movies is cheating somehow because they use photos? No, it's because like they use photos because it's quicker, it's faster. And I can tell you that most of them, like I would say like a 90% or pretty much everyone knows what is behind that, knows how to draw, or before that they have been drawing, and they have been learning those first skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you were saying, oh, if you had Ian McKegg's drawing abilities, I would love to see Ian McKegg doing like if you could join your knowledge with Ian McKegg's knowledge, and then you could draw like him and do all the other stuff and combining
Oh,
the
make it
two.
happen.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be too powerful.
It's like one of these mechas from Power Rangers, just getting like the best of, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Could I ask a question?
absolutely.
Go for it.
Hey, what's up? I was curious about when you're working for these like super high level companies, like what amount of work you were able to produce in a day as compared to when you joined the industry, like how, and maybe like how, like some tips on like how you got there. If that
You
makes sense.
mean, I'm not sure if I got the question right. You mean like how much can I do compared to when I was starting, or?
Yeah. Like, and also I was curious if you guys have any opinions on how much work you should be able to produce in a
Oh,
day as well,
well,
where you want to join the industry.
so the way I did it is that as soon as I started like getting in contact with other artists on Facebook, on ArtStation and everything, and I started learning more about, the process of how a movie is done or a video game, also by looking at art books and stuff like that, I started realizing that you normally don't get more than 2-3 days to finish a piece, at least working on a movie or working on a AAA game. Let's say a company like Ubisoft or a company like, I don't know, BioWare. Let's say like something like Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, stuff like that. As a freelance, I never got the chance to spend more than 3 days maybe on a piece. Hardly, like sometimes maybe like a full week, depending if it's like a final keyframe or something, they will give you some more time, but normally it's between 1 and 3 days. So when I started, that's what I tried to stick to that. Like I was trying to post a piece online at least every 3 to 5 days. I was trying to post something, and I was putting that myself as an obligation. It's no matter what, I was my boss there, and it's like, hey, this needs to be done for Wednesday, no matter what, so hurry up. That's it, because if you don't put that boundaries to yourself, then you start like, being like, I can just finish this like maybe next week or something. It's like, no, this has to be done for Wednesday.
Let
So I
me
started like,
can I just ask about that a little bit further? Like, what are you supplied with at that point? If you're to finish an environment or whatever in 2 days, like, are there already preliminary sketches that they give you, either from storyboards or designs or anything?
depending, sometimes they will give you reference like photo references or whatever, but normally I would say you spend like half a day doing some sketches or a day doing some sketches, like black and white blockouts or something. Then you will get some feedback over that, jump into the 3D, do a 3D render, and then just do the final one by yourself. That's the thing. But
So
normally it takes even less. It's like the times are being reduced thanks to different like render tools and everything that are making everything way faster.
But like
So,
at this point, they have a clear idea of what they want. Like the brainstorming is done at this point. Like they know that they want a cave with a big hole at the top, and whatever.
maybe
Whatever.
yes, yeah. They will give you a brief, like we want a cave with a big hole on top, and inside of the cave there is like a wreckage of a ship, let's say. But there is nothing done about that. They can send you references of wrecked ships, or they can send you references of caves, but that's it. And then from that you will do some some sketches, and then just work on that on 3D, then add some photo batching, finish the final image. But for example, for me, since some of the clients I work with already know how I work, I just jump some of those stages already, and I start directly sending them 3D assets, with some camera angles and some lighting, so the process can be like way faster, So that allows me sometimes to finish my work in like 1-2 days of work, and that's it, So I can get feedback over that, and then making the changes over the final image already, but yeah, just going back to the first question, the thing is that in the end, I will not spend more than 2-3 days on that. I remember days on Marvel delivering up to like 50 images, and then just being like paintings over like maybe an image, or just changing like different color patterns of something. So it can be whatever. But yeah, like I would say that if you're able to, like, if you look at my portfolio, you should be able to tackle one of those images in 3 days, let's say, or 5 days, no more than that. If you take more time than that to do an image like that, then you are starting to lose time. You're starting to be a tiny bit slow, which, depending on the final outcome of it, it's acceptable or not. For example, just putting another example, if Craig Mullins comes to me and say like, hey, I'm going to spend 2 weeks on this piece, I will say, go for it. Enjoy those 2 weeks and give the best you can. But if you're not Craig Mullins, then you need, if you're like an average concept artist working in the industry, then you need to stick to certain levels of time spending time and everything, just to make sure that everyone works at the same rhythm somehow. So yeah, spending more than 3 days on a piece is starting to be expensive for a company. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Hello, can I ask a question, maybe?
Hello. Yep.
I would like to know, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who's faced this, but when you have your values placed in a piece, you have your colors, you've pretty much defined everything, and now you should start defining some detail, but what do you do? Where do you even start? Like, there's this certain point at the middle of the piece where you just get stuck and you don't know how to progress. Can you elaborate on your process?
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. Like, that point, there's like, like, should I start like putting detail here, or just I get what you mean. You can just divide it by different zones, and don't overthink it too much. Just maybe make a plan. Be like, for example, in this image, I'm gonna start working on the roof, because like in the challenge we're doing here, the 90 minutes challenge, is like we pretty much all started in the same way. If you can see it, we started on the ceiling, figure out the lights, and then we are starting like working on the gas pumps all together, right? And as soon as we have that figured out, then probably we'll start like figuring out a tiny bit more the bottom part of the image, which is like the less important in this case. So I would say just try to organize yourself, maybe by saying, I'm going to work first on the foreground, then midground, then background, or the opposite. Or say, I'm going to start with the focal point, and then I'm just going to expand around, and continue adding details to that. But in the end, it's just about putting yourself like a list, and that's pretty much it. The way I will do it is normally go for the big shapes, like the blocking as we did here with the background and the ceiling, and then go to the focal point, figure that out, and then just start building around. That could be a way of doing it, but it can change. Like, the most important part is that you don't get stuck. In the end, there is a painting to do, so just paint. It doesn't matter where you start. Just, if you feel stuck, either continue like with the focal point or whatever is around it, or if you need it, just like take a break for like 10 minutes, just figure out, go, like, leave the room, get some water, do a coffee or whatever, and go back, and see the painting with another perspective. That sometimes helps also a lot to me. Just get some rest, some visual rest, let's say, and don't look at the screen for like 10 minutes and then come back, or maybe like 30 minutes and then go back and be like, okay, what I was doing, I was doing this, and then you can
definitely.
You can focus on something.
Also, I remember Bobby actually saying in one of his earlier talks, I believe, I don't remember which exactly, pardon me, but this idea of maybe, because I find myself like not really knowing what I'm doing and just switching off my mind and noodling on something. So Bobby talked once about like narrating your process. So each step that you're doing, why are you doing it, and like what are you about to do? Do you think that's like a good exercise to try? Because, well, would you recommend that exercise, for example?
That
Yeah,
Bobby
so
guy's full of crap. I don't know where you're talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I mean, I was gonna agree on those thoughts. You know, in the end, that's a good way of doing it. You know, I mean, it's pretty close to what I say, like of making a list. You know, somehow it's just like, you know, for me, it's, let's say, you know, if you're working on an environment like the ones I'm doing, like normally I also have like a little bit of a story, right, of what is happening on the image. So yeah, I just try to tell that story, right? I feel like, yeah, like, you know, let's say you're like, you know, reading a book or something, like the first thing that you will get when you get to a new place is like a description of the place in general, right? It's like an external description. Let's divide it in external and internal. And what I mean with external internal is external description of the place will be like, oh, there is a gas station, you know, and it has red lights, and then there is like this haze, you know, and this like kind of like white mist, you know, created by lights. And then you will get like an internal one that will be, there is a character there, you know, going like into the place, or, you know, or you have the gas pumps like on and you can see the lights like tickling on them or whatever, you know. So you could tell that yourself while you are painting, you know, and you can start like by building the whole space and then just go into the details, you know, and telling yourself what's going on between the characters that are on the image, you know, or something like that. I don't know. In the end, yeah, I think it's just like about creating some sort of plan on your head that works for you. I don't know how to explain it like in a better way. Sorry, but
No,
yeah,
it's fine. It makes sense. It makes absolute sense. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
yeah, no worries. You too.
I like making the analogy of a cake. It's like you would normally start with the foundation, the sponge, and like build around that, and like, you know, inside, then around, and it's not like you're gonna take the icing in a different bowl and start putting the decoration on, then putting it on. It only makes sense to have the base, put the icing, and then the, you know, small decorations. So it's kind of like working in steps, because if you try to do everything at once, it'll take a longer time and it won't look as pretty.
Mm-hmm. In the one that I do on my workout series, for example, in the last example that I do that takes like the last 7 days or something like that, that is like a full image. Since I already know how the composition is going to be, I start from the background and then I just go like closer to the camera, you know, because in the end, but there is always a last step where I add details over that, like people, or, you know, whatever it is on the image, you know, or vegetation or anything that is there, you know. So I agree on that, you know, with you. In the end, it's just, yeah, it's just about make sure that you start with the general stuff and then just go to the most particular one.
Yeah. Does anyone Discord have any questions?
We could go to a Slido question here.
Oh, yeah, Slido. There's a lot.
So, CJ Rusotto asks, to Pablo, who are your artistic influences?
My artistic influences, like, can you still hear me, guys? Not sure if you're there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So are we talking about other concept artists or general artists that I like, or I don't know. What could it be?
If we're to make, you know, like, this is why Pablo does the things that he does. Here are the influences that have played the biggest influence on your work.
Well, for me, then it will be classical painters. Like, I really like French painters from like the, let's say, like 19th century and 18th century, like Jérôme, Géricault. I also love, I don't know, Spanish one like Velázquez, for example. I really like Renaissance, and stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean, in general, I will be like really interested in this kind of like oniric and romantic painters. I could mention also like Friedrich, for example, or Delacroix, stuff like that. Those are things that I'm really inspired from. In terms of like lighting, I look a lot at like cinematographers. I really like Dick Pope or Roger Deakins, for example. So I look a lot at that too. In terms of like color, this sounds kind of weird, but I also really like chromatic minimalism, like let's say like Yves Klein or this other one. I always forget the name. Damn. I just got like blocked right now. It's always
totally
happened
fine.
to me.
We could go on to another question.
No, but yeah, in general, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I also tend to look a lot of like my own college, like friends from colleagues from work, like Paul Chadison, or I don't know. I mean, I have tons of people there that are super inspiring. I was living with like one of my closest friends is also Pablo Dominguez. We live together and we have worked together for a long time. So we have been always like sharing stuff at home, and learning from each other and painting together and all that stuff. So even my own friends, in the end, ends being like super, super inspiring for me somehow. But yeah, I would say that there is a lot of like classical heritage, like classical painters that I look a lot at, and cinematographers. So yeah, I would say those are my inspirations normally.
There's a question in Slido that kind of appears twice in different forms. It's what's a keyframe cinematic illustration? Can we
What it
define
is?
that? Yeah, can we define that for everybody?
I can, because this is actually a question that we made ourselves when we were working at ILM once. Like, what's the purpose of doing a keyframe, right? Or what's the aim of doing this? And in the end, a keyframe concept art piece is a frame, like it's just like one frame, 1 second. I mean, not 1 second, but one frame, right, of a second of an image. I mean, of a movie, right? It's like the feeling, like it's like if you could, like, before doing the movie, before all the production, before everything is settled down, if you could sit the director in front of you and be like, this is how your movie is gonna look like if you press pause in the television, on the screen, if you could be able to frozen the image and see how your movie looks like, this is how it looks like. It's like this keyframe, and of course it can be more painterly. It cannot be like completely super realistic, but in the end, that's what tells the director, this is how things are going to look like when everyone starts working and when we finish this, when the generalists start modeling everything, when the lighting artists start doing the lighting, where the texture artists start doing the texturing, when we shoot the movie, when the actors do their part on it, when we do all the post-production and all the edition and everything. If you take all of that together and you put it, on this frame, that will be this frame, and I did that for you in 2 days, let's say, just so you were able to you were able to see it before everything happens, I would say that's the way of describing it somehow. It's like the opportunity to give the director, I mean, it's the opportunity to see how the movie is gonna end looking before it's made. Let's say it that way. Does that make sense?
Product.
Yeah, it's like showing a final product before it's done. That's it.
Awesome. Anybody else want to ask Pablo a question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Hello.
Hello.
What is your schedule? You manage to finish so many paintings with home tours or live
Sorry,
stuff?
can you repeat it? I think I lost a bit of the beginning of the question. Sorry.
What's your schedule?
My schedule, like a normal day.
Yeah.
It depends, but normally I will wake up. I'll tell you what I did today, or what So I wake up at 6:45, 7 normally. I just have like a quick coffee. I go out with my dog. So that's already like, well, I first answer a couple of mails. I would say, if there is something like important, I always check my inbox just in case there is something dramatically urgent, that I have to do or anything. So between that and going for a walk with the dog, that will already make it like 8 in the morning, 8:30 or something like that. So yeah, from 7 to 8, I just do all of that, have breakfast, go out with the dog and check the mail. And then I will just start working like nonstop from like 8:39 until 1, more or less. Then I get stuff done at home, whatever it is, like laundry or, food, all the stuff, like normal things, being an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so that will be already like half of the day. Then I will leave a bit of time. I mean, I'm Spanish, so all that siesta bullshit and all of that. So no, but we tend to have lunch very late, like at 2 or 3 p.m. Something like that. So I will leave some space between like 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. I pretty much just do nothing, just like, as I said, just stuff at home, and then maybe have lunch, and then take some rest, watch a series or something, relax, play some video games, and then I will go back to work from 4 until like 9 or something like that, 9 p.m. or like 7, 8 p.m., something like that. Go again for a walk with the dog, and then do some dinner, and then again just like watch some series or something. But yeah, it's a pretty like, static and repetitive kind of schedule. But yeah, there's not too much time for anything else, honestly, sometimes, like sometimes it's like 7 or 8 and you're like, holy shit, like it's already night, and I feel like I haven't done anything.
Is this a freelance schedule, or is this like
For me, it is a freelance schedule, yeah.
Mm.
So normally you tend like to end working more time than you should, but yeah, I also try to mix things in between, right? Like just stopping at the middle of the day just to get some rest, and do other stuff and not get burned out, from being in front of the computer, and that's it. And then on the weekends, I mean, now with the restrictions and everything, it's not like there is too much to do, but I will normally, I mean, do normal plans, with friends, my girlfriend or whatever, just go out, that's it. Not too much else.
Where does personal artwork kind of fit into your weekly schedule?
Well, on those places where I say that I play video games or that I watch movies, sometimes I just like remove that and do personal work. That used to happen maybe like once or twice a week. So that's why I end posting something like once a month or twice a month, is because in the end I only spend like 3 hours here, 3 hours there, to do some personal painting. There are days that maybe there is a Saturday that I'm alone at home and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna kill this painting, and I just spend like 10 hours with music just doing my own stuff, but yeah, that happens like once every 2 months or something. But yeah,
I guess majority of the time it's taken up by actual like freelance work.
Yeah. But yeah, like now what I'm trying is to wake up earlier. Like now with cold weather is a tiny bit more tricky, but in summer it's easy for me to wake up at 6 in the morning and actually take advantage of the fresh hours. When it's not like crazy hot here. So yeah, I will probably try to work as much as I can, focusing really like a lot. And work from like 6 in the morning till like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. and then get everything done and spend the rest of the evening just at the pool, or just chilling. I do that a lot too. Yeah. So yeah. So I have two types of schedule. Like winter schedule and summer schedule. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, not too much.
Yeah.
Nothing really particular or extraordinary, I would say.
Great. Anybody else? Who's next?
Thank you so much.
No worries.
I have another question, if that's okay.
Yep,
Sorry for
go for it.
Thanks. I wanted to know kind of two things, I guess. If there's artists or art in your family, and what does your family think about you being an artist?
There is 0 artists in my family. Like no one, absolutely. Like my dad was a telecommunication engineer. My sister is an aeronautic engineer. And well, my mom was kind of an artist, let's say, because she was a dancer. But yeah, when she had me and my sister, like she started focusing on raising us up, right, and everything. But yeah, like for me it was tricky when I was younger, because of course when I was at school and everything, I was like not the best student, let's put it that way. I was always like painting at the table, and not giving a shit about what I was saying. I was like really bringing bad marks at home, every year. But yeah, at some point I had the chance to start focusing my studies into art, and that made everything start working in a better way, right? But yeah, my parents has been always like pretty supportive with me, I must admit that I know that they were kind of afraid of me failing in general in life because of focusing on this, because there were like a lot of options of not working in the end. I'm more coming from from Spain, when there is almost no industry here related to this and everything, or if it is, it's not like really well paid or anything. So yeah, at the beginning, of course, they were kind of afraid. Even myself, I was like, oh, is this gonna happen? Is this gonna work in the end? Should I really put everything I got into this? But they were like really supportive. They gave me all the tools that I needed to make it happen, and then I just tried to pay it back with hard work, and that's it. So yeah, there is no artist on my family, and they had 0 idea of what I do and how I do it or anything. So yeah, it was at the beginning difficult to explain to them, like, hey, this is an actual job, I can make a living out of this. So so yeah.
What was that first screening experience like when you attended a screening of something you had a credit in?
When was that first? Like the first time that happened?
Yeah.
To me.
What was that like?
That was Captain Marvel, actually.
That was your first credit?
That was my first credit. Yes. That was my first
smokes.
credit.
Wow, you've been on a tear then ever since. All right. How?
No, but yeah.
Yeah. How was that like?
Well, it was fun. I mean, I don't know. It was like something I never thought it will happen, and I was like really like, it was kind of weird. Like, hey, it's my name there, right? And my spaceships and everything. But I remember going to the cinema with my friends, and my parents, and everyone was there like freaking out, being like, that's my friend there. And, like it's not that normal here in Spain. If you go to LA, you could know like a lot of people that works in the industry and blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's like I'm pretty much surrounded by people that does completely different things, So yeah, it was kind of like, it was like really, really fun. I will never forget it. It was a really, really cool experience. But yeah, to me, it was like at that point, I normalized it to a point. I was like, yeah, it's just my job, and that's pretty much it. So I was really proud of myself at that point, but I was also just happy for my friends to enjoy the moment and the I don't know, the weirdness of it somehow. I don't know. But yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, my parents were also pretty proud. So yeah, I'm happy for that. But yeah.
Your family and parents have like bragging rights now.
Oh yeah.
I know who worked on this.
Yeah.
They could go to all their friends that said, I don't know if this is a good idea.
Oh my God, I remember going it was actually that Christmas, you know, we were like buying some presents and stuff for the family, and I was going with both, like with my parents, my mom and dad, and we went to a Lego store, and they had this Lego spaceship of Captain Marvel, you know, and my dad was bragging on the shop with everyone, like, that's my kid, like, you know, and I was like,
That's
what
so
the
funny.
fuck? And actually, that spaceship, I didn't even do that spaceship. That was one that was from Jan Urso. I was like, Dad, I didn't do that. Like, shut the fuck up, you know? Like, what the hell are you saying? But yeah, it was, you know, I kind of deal with that kind of situations here and there sometimes. But yeah.
I remember my dad, like when I was applying for art school, he would tell all his friends, Bobby got into art school. And then when I was doing art in art school, he would say, Bobby's working for Disney now. You know, it's like, calm down,
Yeah.
Dad. Let me try to catch up to your expectations there.
Yeah. It happens. It used to happen. Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah, it's kind of important to, you know, if it's not your case, to make people around you like believe in you somehow and be like, hey, give me the opportunity to show you what I'm able to do, you know, and then work hard, of course, to prove you right somehow, you know, because it's tricky with art. Sometimes it's tricky. Like, I know a lot of people that doesn't have supportive parents, you know, and it can be really tough. So yeah.
Anybody else? I guess everybody's a little gun shy right now. Nobody wants to ask Pablo the next question? If not, we could go to Slido.
Yeah, we have a bunch of questions there too.
All right, well, let's go to the next Slido question here. This one is talking about the accuracy of perspective. How much accuracy do you need in professional work? Like, do you need to measure everything and use every technique to create an environment? And for me, I'd just like to add on there, you know, there's accuracy of perspective, and then there's like kind of like forced perspective, like this beautiful painting that you were talking about earlier, right? And the forced perspective in the building in the foreground gets pretty forced here. So like,
Yeah, pretty.
What are your thoughts about accuracy of perspective or forced perspective?
Well, it depends on what you want to get on the image, right? In the end, perspective is another tool. It's like color, it's like light, it's like the detail, the texturing. Perspective is something that takes also, place on your image as I say, as a tool that you can use. In the end, it's the camera, you know, that you use. So in my work, depending on what I want to achieve, I use like different camera angles, different perspectives, different types of objectives, you know. And yeah, I will not say like something is better or worse or something is right or wrong. You know, in the end, it's like you need to understand how to control it, how to work with it, and what is needed for. And of course, if you are doing like hand drawing, if you're doing like a normal drawing, definitely you need to learn perspective in an accurate way to understand later on how to deform it, you know, or how to distort it to get different finishing, you know, like the different outcomes on your paintings. So yeah, not quite sure about what to add to that, you know. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I would say. It kind of depends, you know. I sometimes like to do like super distorted image, like that one with like the rooftops, you know, and everything. While in others, I will just make everything like super flat, you know, and way more epic, so more like the magnificence of the buildings around, like that one with the chrome spaceship in between those columns and everything. Like everything there is like super flat, you know, even if the space is like way bigger. So yeah, it's just, as I say, it's just another tool. It's something you can use in advantage, you know, for to give one feeling or another in your paintings.
I feel like this question, you know, we could all give our kind of ideas about this, but the question is Is it better to have a time limit for studies or to do less studies over longer periods of time?
I think you can get different things also from both things. Like setting a time is gonna make you learn more about efficiency, how to take good decisions in less time, how to be smart and solve certain problems with, in certain ways. Um, while doing less studies in more time is going to let you understand better color, lighting, maybe. It's going to, help you get better at understanding details and everything. So yeah, I think both things can give you different things. I think it's more interesting at the beginning to do longer ones with shorter time. I mean, with less painting with longer time, and just take your time doing it. And as soon as you have, figure out how to match colors, how to match lighting and everything, try to start making it like shorter and do it quicker, do it faster, and see how fast can you get into, getting a final result.
When you go figure drawing, we tend to do gestures, like quick gestures to warm up. Do you do quick sketches to warm up? Do you just get right into work?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not. I don't like in personal work, yes. In client work, sometimes I do more actually than in personal work. When I'm working on my personal stuff, I jump straight away into 3D because there's no feedback apart from myself. So I know what I want to do. I know where I want to put things, my image and everything. But if I'm working for clients, I will maybe start with a couple of sketches, see if they work for myself, and if they do, then I will share it with the client. If not, I will start from the beginning with some sketches,
Let me define this question a little bit more though. Talking about warming up, do you do any warming up before you start doing your work? You know what I mean? Like some comic book artists, especially, they might start sketching heads for like 20 minutes before they start drawing their pages.
Sometimes I do. Like the way I do it is that I just start personal paintings, something that in the end is gonna lead into a personal painting probably. So I just grab different 3D assets and start building and seeing, and maybe I will then just leave it, and then start with my work. But that's the thing. Since I'm working more and more with 3D nowadays, I pretty much erased everything that has something to do with the sketches or studies and everything, and I'm pretty much jumping straight away into 3D and lighting and everything. So yeah, the answer will be, if I was honest, I would say almost no. Yeah, I don't do any warm up nowadays. But that's also why the workout series was pretty interesting, because it made me go back to that, and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this with geometric shapes, and with squares, and then add lighting on it, and photographs, and that was pretty cool.
Well, the thing I love about the warm-ups is because just like you said, as you get to become a professional, you got all these other things to do, this and that. Sometimes the warming up part kind of goes out the window, right? And also the idea of timing yourself so that it's not just by the day, the duration of time that you had to work on this thing, but by the minutes. When it's by the minutes, that's when I found like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to paint a lot faster now because I'm thinking about this. Like, I need to finish this in X amount of minutes, right? Which is a really big benefit. And a lot of times how we get to the level of being employable or being in demand even is because we did so many studies, because we did so much practicing, so much, learning and investigating. It's important to hold on to that. I've realized that so much more after doing these 90-minute workouts, like going back to those quote unquote student-like exercises. If you're doing that as a professional, holy smokes, like look out, because you will see your stuff evolve at such an incredibly rapid rate.
Yeah, it makes you like super productive. I've seen that when I try to focus more than I need to get this done by the evening, if I start thinking I need to get this done in 1 hour, then it's when I start like being pretty productive, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now there's nothing left to do except to do some final thoughts about our various paintings here. Do you want to start, Pablo? What would you do differently if you had to do this again? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Just whatever thoughts.
Well, I think I will have spent a tiny bit more time on the background just to add a tiny bit more of light, you know. Apart from that, yeah, characters maybe. I think I got a bit lost on the gas bumps, you know, trying to get a bit of the, you know, most of the detail there. Even though later on I got that trick of just like duplicating them, you know, around the whole image. But yeah, I think I need to take care a tiny bit more of the background, you know, the reflection, the perspective of it on it kind of looks a bit flat. I'm missing some shadows also to make, you know, projected on the ground. So the gas pumps will make a bit more of sense. But yeah, I would say that's my harsh feedback over myself.
You definitely had the cleanest painting out of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but that's because I use a lot of like masks, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, like for example, Masai here got more of those shadows I'm missing on mine, you know.
And
I don't know.
Masai, what were your thoughts about your painting here?
The pumps took so much time. It was like I was trying to draw each individual one, but once I saw Pablo doing the duplicate, I was like, oh, that's smart. And sometimes it's like I need to realize, you know, you gotta use the tools to, you know, get to the end goal. Sometimes it doesn't matter like if I, you know, really took the time to do each brush stroke. It's like in the end what kind of matters is the final look. So I think that's one thing that I wish I took, you know, was a bit more efficient in. Yeah, overall, really hard reference, but still had fun.
And you used the square brush for pretty much the whole thing almost.
Yeah, almost the whole thing. Just getting the hard edges, I was able to lay down colors and, you know, values a lot faster.
That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I had the hardest time starting this thing, but then after a while, I just stopped thinking about the nitty-gritty little technical bits of architecture and stuff and just started to just have fun painting. I think,
yeah,
you know, like I was like, wow, Pablo's gas pump is so exact, and I'm like, I'm trying to get my gas pump exact. And then you could also see, this is how much I was struggling. You could see I'm using a square brush here, Masai, because I was looking at your stuff going, okay, maybe I'll just try a square brush. Maybe it'll work a little better if I use the square brush. So I was kind of looking at both of you guys and trying to absorb the things that really keyed in for me. So thank you to both of you for making my painting better.
No, I was looking a lot at yours for the color itself, you know, for the color study. Like the way you use those greens, they're almost like, you know, on the top. Like that green mixed with that blue, mixed with that like red haze that in the end is like brown, actually, if you look at it separately from the rest of the painting. You know, all of those tones, like at the beginning, that's something I was looking a lot, you know, to start like settling, you know, my painting too. And the way you also guys tackle the background, you know, even if are just like those tiny lights on the background, that's something I missed on mine, you know. So yeah, and of course, like your characters there, like starting like some sort of fight or something. That was awesome.
It's like, that's my pump, even though every pump is available. Well,
it's their go-to pump.
Well, I want to thank both of you for this wonderful experience. I learned a ton. And now that time is up, I also want to thank our wonderful Discord community for joining in as always and doing such an awesome job of encouraging each other and making the Lightbox Expo Discord such a wonderful positive place to be in, and that couldn't have been done without our amazing Discord, LBX Discord mods. Thank you so much for making it such a safe and wonderful place. And of course, my assistant Jamie, thank you so much for helping out with YouTube. My co-host Masei Seki, as always entertaining, always fun, always amazing. And the biggest thank you goes to our guest of honor today, Pablo Carpio, with his
Thank you so
new
much,
class.
Well,
New
thank you so
class
much
that
for
just came
having
out.
me. Thanks also, Bobby, for the opportunity to do the workout series and everything. I hope people like it, and yeah, thanks for having me. I'm, always happy to join anytime. So yeah,